Hello everyone, my name is Angeline Joy Laksa. Currently at my school, we are working on our capstone projects, also known as Google's 20% project. And the 20% project is taking 20% of your time and putting it into a project that interests you and that benefits others. My capstone project is to help inform others about suicide, including the causes and prevention techniques. First of all, what is suicide? Suicide is the act of purposely causing one's own death, and suicide is also the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. There are many different causes of suicide, such as major depression, self-harm, loss, family history, abuse, trauma, and so much more. As I stated earlier, one of the causes of suicide is major depression, also known as clinical depression. Depression is also the leading cause of suicide. Major depression is when feelings of sadness, loss, anger, or frustration interfere with daily life for weeks or longer, and untreated depression can lead to suicide. Over 50% of all people who die by suicide suffer from major depression. To improve major depression and prevent suicide, you can call hotlines like the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, which is 800-273-8255. Another cause of suicide is self-harm. Self-harm is the act of deliberately harming oneself. Just like depression, self-harm can also lead to suicide. Most of the time, individuals who do self-harm are not aiming to commit suicide, which is also called non-suicidal self-injury. People usually self-harm because it helps them cope with their painful emotions. Sometimes people don't want to do self-harm alternatives because they haven't recognized the feelings that triggers their need to self-harm, or they think that actually self-harming is the only way to get in touch with their feelings. But either way, any act of self-harm needs to be taken seriously. There are many alternatives for self-harming that can also help prevent suicide. Instead of self-harming, you can exercise, dance, watch funny YouTube videos, let yourself cry, watch your favorite TV show or movie, remember a happy moment and replay it in your head, doodle on sheets of paper, you can slash an empty plastic water bottle, you can call a friend and talk about the things that you love, draw or paint on yourself on the areas you wish to self-harm, you could do something slow and soothing, pop bubble wrap, scream very loudly, and do something that keeps you distracted. Calling crisis hotlines will also help when dealing with self-harm, such as the Self-Injury Foundation's 24-hour National Crisis Line, which is 800-334-4357. Another cause of suicide is loss. Individuals who have lost something important in their lives sometimes commit suicide. If you have just experienced a loss, take your time, as much time as you need, to help you slowly get over your loss. People who have experienced a loss can look after their physical health, because usually, when people feel good physically, they'll also feel good emotionally. Another way to help if you have experienced a loss is to express how you feel in a creative way. You could do this by writing how you feel in a journal, you could create paintings, or you could create a scrapbook. If you are feeling despair because of a loss you've just experienced, remember that it will not last forever, whether it be a relational loss, social loss, work loss, or financial loss. If someone you know who is currently suffering from a loss, you can help them by asking about their feelings and listening to them if they would like to talk. Another cause of suicide is family history. Individuals who have a family history of suicides or mental illnesses may also cause suicide. Danish researchers found out that individuals who lost a relative to suicide are 2.5 times more likely to commit suicide themselves compared to those without a similar family history. And individuals who had a family history of psychiatric illnesses that required hospital admission had a 50% higher risk of suicide only among those who didn't already have a history of mental illnesses themselves. Family histories of suicide and mental illnesses affect the risk of suicide alone, and the effects are strongest when histories of suicide and mental illnesses are combined. If you have family histories of suicide or mental illnesses, then please remember that your past does not have control over you. Ways you can help yourself or someone else prevent suicide is to seek for help. Whether it be talking to a family member, friend, or therapist about it, you still need to seek for help. Analyzing the problem and reaching out for help is a very big step. It requires a lot of courage and it requires a lot of bravery. If you are looking for help or support, you could call the National Hopeline Network, which is 800-784-2433. Another cause of suicide is abuse. There are different types of abuse: verbal abuse, physical abuse, and sexual abuse. Verbal abuse is to abuse someone by simply using words and insults. Physical abuse is any intentional act causing injury or trauma to another person by way of bodily contact. Sexual abuse is forcing undesired sexual behavior by one person upon another. If you are being abused verbally, physically, or sexually, please remember that it is not your fault. Do not think that you being abused is your fault. If you are being abused in any shape or form, know that you do not deserve to feel this way. I know it may be hard, but you have to stop letting people step all over and hurt you. You must try and stand up for yourself. If someone is abusing you, you have to remember that there is no excuse for abuse. And do not wait for it to get worse and worse. If you are being abused, please know that you deserve to be free and happy with your life. Do everything you can to stop the abusive actions that are laid upon you. You can seek professional help, file a restraining order, or do everything you can to make you free. And if you see or know that someone is also being abused, you need to stand up for them. You need to prove that at least one person in this entire world cares about them. You should call the National Domestic Violence Hotline for their help, which is 800-799-7233. Another cause of suicide is trauma. Trauma could lead to depression, which could also lead to suicide. Trauma is a very unpleasant experience that causes someone to have mental or emotional problems, which usually lasts for a long time. Trauma could result from abuse, assault, disasters, physical injuries, serious accidents, or exposure to fatalities. To treat trauma and prevent it from leading to suicide, you could try to reduce stress. People who have trauma could do something that relaxes them, such as yoga, meditating, or simply listening to soothing music. People who have trauma could do some exercises to get them moving so they could clear their head. If you have trauma, remember to get plenty of rest. Lack of sleep could make your trauma symptoms worse and worse and make it harder to maintain your emotional balance. You should aim at getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep each night. You can also find a trauma specialist that you're also comfortable with. If you have trauma, please do not think that the reason why you have trauma is your fault. Please do not put that guilt upon yourself. And if you have trauma, please remember to forgive yourself. If you've had a traumatic experience and it has led to depression, please call the Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance, which is 800-826-3632. And this is a message for everyone. Being suicidal is not a joke. And if you are currently watching this video and you think or know that you are causing someone's pain or suicidal thoughts, then please stop. Because you could cause someone to feel unimportant, or you could cause someone to lower their self-esteem. You could cause someone to feel worthless, hopeless, and you could cause someone to commit suicide. Telling someone to kill themselves and telling them things that could cause them to kill themselves is dehumanizing. If you are telling someone things that could lead them to commit suicide, please know that you are taking someone else's life in your hands by saying these dehumanizing things. If you are hurting someone emotionally, physically, or mentally, please remember that other people take it differently. How would you feel if someone else pushes you over the edge? Or how would you feel if you lost someone important to you because they killed themselves? And if you think that suicide is selfish, it's not. This is because suicide is a human response to severe pain. People who do commit suicide are just looking for a way to stop the pain that they are feeling, and they think that suicide is the only option. And if you are telling someone that they can't be sad because others have it worse, that's like telling someone they can't be happy because others have it better. If you are suicidal and you are thinking of seeking for help or already are, then I am so very proud of you. If you even for a second thought about telling someone about your suicidal thoughts, then I am so very proud of you. If you are suicidal and you think that I'm going to sit here and tell you that you aren't trying to keep your suicidal thoughts from consuming you, then you're wrong. Because your trying could be simply getting out of bed, or you trying could be keeping down at least 3 meals, or you trying could be a day clean from self-harm. So I'm not going to tell you that you aren't trying, and you shouldn't be telling other people that they aren't trying either. Because someone's form of definition of trying could be different from someone else's form of definition of trying. If you are suicidal and planning to commit suicide, please remember that you are beautiful and that you are amazing. And nobody has the right to make you feel like you aren't. So do not abide in other people's opinions, and do not let it be the representation of your self-worth. If you are feeling suicidal, please know that you are worth all of the stars in the sky. And if you feel like you don't deserve to live, please know that you are enough and that you are not weak. If someone is treating you so awfully that it's leading you to want to kill yourself, please remember that you are human, and you do deserve to be treated like one. And life might get in the way of your happiness, and life may push you down, but you always have to remember to get back up. If you are feeling terrible for causing so much pain on someone, then please remember that you can't change the past, but you can change the future. Today is another day where you can start all over again. And if you are planning to commit suicide, remind yourself that you are going to be okay. This pain that you are feeling will not last forever. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not the next day, but it will. Eventually. If you are suicidal, know that you can and you will heal, and that all of the pain and tears will pay off. Also remember that stars cannot shine without darkness. If you are thinking about killing yourself, remember that later on in life, you'll look back to your past and say, I made it. Life was difficult, but I managed to pull myself together. And please do not feel bad for existing or asking for help. If your suicidal thoughts are consuming you, please know that we all make mistakes, but our mistakes do not make up who we actually are. For those who are feeling depressed, worthless, or suicidal, please know that your mistakes do not define you. Your past do not define you. Your struggles do not define you, and your scars do not define you. Suicide is a permanent act to a temporary problem. For those who are suicidal, please know that you are much stronger than your suicidal thoughts. And I'm so very proud of you for being alive, and don't you dare give up. For those who want to kill themselves, know that you are going to survive. You are going to fight for victory every day, and do not think that you are a burden. If you are wanting to commit suicide, please know that you matter. Your feelings matter, your life matters, and that you are worth it, and that you can get through this. Being suicidal does not mean that you are any less of a person. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that this video will help you if you or someone you know is suicidal. And I hope you learn more about suicide by watching this video. If you need someone to talk to or if you need some help, my links are down below. And if you are suicidal and you're currently finishing up watching this video, then congratulations. You've made it this far and you will make it even farther. I hope you have a wonderful and loving day.